This guy was filming basically a documentary about Jeffrey Epstein in order to rehabilitate his image. Goal is to humanize the monster.
What they're doing right now is like, hey, Jeffrey Epstein is like a convicted pedophile guy. We need to make him seem as good as we can. We need to push the dial a little bit. He is an excellent marketer. That's so Trump.
To his buddy Jeffrey Epstein, he says, I watched the horrible way you've been treated by the press and public.
The horrible way you've been treated. More Trump language. I've been treated horribly.
Epstein loops in Hiltzik again. He says, Matt Hiltzik thought your idea was epic. Hypocrisy of the liberal left.
What? Hypocrisy of the liberal left? This fucking Epstein is literally like the MAGA playbook. All of this makes so much sense as to why Trump is so connected to this.
Why is it that it seems like really only in the rest of the world has anyone faced anything? I mean, you've got the former Prince Andrew losing his title.
Oh, really? Every other country is actually doing something about the fucking degeneracy on the list except for America? Are you telling me that the president that's in the Epstein files and was best friends with Epstein himself is going to be like a little fucking cuck about everything? Who the would have thought?
It shows Jeffrey Epstein paying Daniel 3,000 euros.
Wait a minute. My name is Daniel. Anyway, guys, let's get this party started. More Epstein stuff. We love it. We love that the degeneracy of the world is collapsing in on us. It's incredible. So, yeah, man, I'm curious about this video here. Will we ever get accountability with the Epstein files? Incredible stuff. I actually put my first react to Voicezilla's like first video. The new Epstein files on the Leftovers channel. So it's right here. It's I'm experimenting with the idea of posting a little bit more, some more longer form content on the Leftovers channel. I just don't really know if that's something I necessarily want to do, but it's on here if you're interested in it. You know, I'm always thinking. They call me the Thinkster, probably to my detriment. But anyway, let's watch this fucking video, dude. Will we ever get accountability with the Epstein files? Ooh, probably not.
It only gets worse from...
Probably not. Let's be fucking real, man. The strategy right now from the old Trumpster is to slowly release information that doesn't actually release the predator list, which is what we really want. We want to know who are the predators? No, there's not enough information on that, so we're probably never going to get full transparency on any of this shit.
From here, we're going back into the 3 million documents. So far, we mostly covered how billionaires lied about their relationship with Epstein and or...
Dude, I honestly cannot believe that billionaires would ever lie. It's fucking crazy to me.
Got blackmailed in the drafts, eventually killing their marriage. We talked about Howard Lutnick, how he lied about meeting Epstein, although he still denies this. And we also talked about some horrible accusations against Trump and Bill Clinton, although we were clear that they are unverified. Now, some people have responded to the release, like Elon Musk, saying that no one fought hard.
Wasn't Musk in there? Musk was like in there simping. He was simping to try to get on Epstein's island, wasn't he? And then he's on Twitter. He's like, guys, I didn't try to do anything. It's fucking crazy.
For the full release of the Epstein files than I did. Ironically, he claims that he knew that the playbook of the far left propagandists and legacy media is admit nothing, deny everything, and making counter accusations.
It's kind of like the right-wing strategy right now. I'm not saying that that's beyond the Democrats in general. I'm just saying that is totally Trump's strategy. I think one of the things about Donald Trump is that like he does this thing where he does everything that every other legacy person, like everything that every legacy, what do we call it? Politician does, except like 15 times worse. I think that's his biggest thing. That's his biggest flex, we'll say. You know what I mean? And then people are just like, well, you know, for Democrats, it's like, hey, did you know that Joe Biden got like $3 million more net worth? He went from like $8 to $11 million in his 4 years of presidency. It's pretty bad. Oh yeah, did you guys know that Donald Trump increased his net worth by $3.3 billion? Yeah, well, Biden did that. It's like, well, I think that there's probably a difference between your house getting more valuable and some, you know, investments versus creating a meme coin where the top 25 donors to your Trump meme coin, or buyers, I guess I should say, get to have a one-on-one sit-down conversation with you. That seems kind of fucked. It seems like kind of like a conflict of interest, maybe an issue. I don't know. I mean, what the fuck do I know, I guess? Yeah, Biden, the same thing, guys. It's Biden. That guy's like, you know, he's just not even in operation anymore. We're still talking about him.
Saying he had never set foot on Epstein's creepy island or attended parties, despite the fact we saw last time that Elon was asking to be invited to the party. What date night?
Damn, Elon, did you get an invite, pussy?
Would be the wildest party on your island. Nevertheless, I think it's an interesting point. The playbook, as we get into this much darker side of the 3.5 million files, you're going to notice this trend is true, that everyone we're going to talk about, basically they admit nothing, they deny everything, and then they usually make counter accusations against other people in the files. Almost no one has faced any kind of consequences for this whole thing, leading me to wonder, why is it that it seems like really only in the rest of the world has anyone faced anything? I mean, you've got the former Prince Andrew losing his title. You've got the Slovakia national security.
Oh, really? Every other country is actually doing something about the fucking degeneracy on the list except for America? What the fuck, dude? What the hell? I'm so surprised. Are you telling me that the president that's in the Epstein files and was best friends with the that guy close to Epstein, name of Epstein himself, is gonna be like a little fucking cuck about everything? Who the fuck would have thought?
Security advisor resigning over the Epstein links. But in America, I'm really hard pressed to think of anyone who has actually faced any kind of accountability.
None, dude. You know what the fucking lamest part about Elon Musk is? He would have been the craziest part about Elon Musk. But yeah, the lamest thing about Elon Musk is he's too much of a lame person that he would have spoiled the pedophile party. You know what I mean? Like, imagine really wanting to go to those fucking pedophile sex parties, but you're too lame even for that. You're too childish for that. You know what I mean? Like, how the fuck do you pull that off, bro? That's crazy.
I think Larry Summers stepped back voluntarily. But other than that, it's hard to think of anyone who's faced any kind of justice. In fact, arguably, Ghislaine Maxwell's life is better than it was previously since these Epstein files have dropped. And what's crazy about this is that we know that the government story is false. Remember, the FBI documents showed they had 10 co-conspirators they were investigating. We also got
we didn't get any of the predators released, dude. Well, we don't want to release the actual predators, but we want the information. We want to know who they are. We want to release the information on who they are, dude. That's the issue. That's the problem.
Old draft of an indictment where they had several co-defendants with Epstein. Now, of course, we know these were never ultimately charged. This was back in 2005, but just imagine all the way back in 2005, where these charges are from, we already had evidence that Epstein was not working alone, and of course he's not. But now we're gonna talk a little bit about how the scheme operated. Now, to be clear, we're gonna talk in a second about the laundering of Epstein's reputation, the people who protected him this whole time. But right now, I wanna talk about how Epstein got some of these girls in the first place, because the Epstein files provide an interesting look behind the curtains. Obviously, we know Ghislaine Maxwell was helping, whether it be procure the girls, talk them into stuff, but now we have emails of a different side of the scheme. It says, yesterday I spoke to Daniel Syed, who Jean-Luc Brunel describes as a scout or recruiter of girls or
all right, guys, somebody called to confirm my doctor's appointment. I'm listening.
Women for Jeffrey Epstein. Attached to this incoming email from Brunel is the contact information he has for Syed. And then they blacked out his number and email, but
oh, God forbid you dox the fucking child procurer. Shit. We gotta make sure we protect those people.
Into Jeffrey's emails with Daniel shows that he was constantly sending him links to girls. It shows Jeffrey Epstein paying Daniel 3,000 euros, which, to be clear,
wait a minute, my name is Daniel.
Here was the amount that was agreed to by Jean-Luc Brunel. Quote, Dominique, we will pay him 3,000 euros each month for scouting for a 6-month period. On all models we will get him, we will pay him 5% commission on their earnings. Imagine it's like baseball or it's like basketball. You're scouting.
What's 5% of 15 years old? What the fuck?
Or I hate to use the word talent, but that's really what this guy was doing. He was going around the globe trying to find people for Jeffrey Epstein and Jean-Luc Brunel. According to one lawsuit, Epstein trafficked a Jane Doe to Jean-Luc Brunel many times. It describes their operation as this. Many of the girls came from poor countries or impoverished backgrounds. He
who would have thought?
Lured them in with a promise of making good money. Quote,
that's fucking disgusting. You know what's interesting, though? Because I see a lot of people giving me pushback over my take, where I don't think that we should call underdeveloped countries shitholes. And a lot of people are saying, like, oh, why do you think they're shitholes? And they're jerking themselves off, feeling really superior, being born in a country that they've had almost no positive impact on. And it's just so interesting, man. Like, I don't know how to communicate to some of these fucking people that, like, you know, different factors like colonization and constant resource wars and whatnot has put people into a situation where they literally just can't thrive or survive. I mean, even things as deep as climate change. I know that every conservative, well, MAGA thinks it's a conspiracy, but, you know, natural disasters have gone up significantly over the past few decades. Like every decade, there's more and more natural disasters that are more and more serious. And a lot of that's because of the impact on the climate that we've had in our, like, even now and in our industrial revolution. And so, like, now we're at a spot where it's like, hey, we're not, like, it's not the same. Developing your country nowadays is like a third world country. It's not the same as developing your country a couple hundred years ago. It's just not. You know, different countries will colonize you, which has always been happening, take over your resources, et cetera, et cetera. And then on top of that, like, you are more susceptible to harsher climates. Like, oh, in America, like, if it's a really cold day out, you have a fucking inside, you go to, there's air conditioning, or excuse me, there's heat. Or if it's really hot out, you know, you have air conditioning. We have much more control over our environment here than they do over there. But yeah, sex trafficking makes sense. I mean, there's parents or people that will sell children for money. It's pretty disgusting shit. And, you know, they're more vulnerable when they're in underdeveloped countries.
Well, Brunel has been a model scout for various modeling agencies for many years, and he was apparently able to get U.S. passports for young girls to work as models, eventually, of course, being sent to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, it should be noted that
was that an H-1B visa?
Jean-Luc Brunel himself died in prison by hanging, and that's why,
oh no,
while he was being accused of horrible crimes related to trafficking and minors. So this guy is not a good guy. He was part of the
I don't know, man. It's so interesting when like somebody absolutely horrible and disgusting takes their own life. It feels like they didn't get to face the punishment that they deserved. You know, like it gets into this almost philosophical conversation. Like, what's worse? Facing your crimes and being put in jail for the rest of your life in a way where you have no agency or autonomy over yourself, or just taking the easy way out and finishing yourself off. You know, and I think that that's part of the conversation around whether we should or shouldn't have the death penalty. I don't know. Something to think about. Although I guess it's expensive to house somebody for however many years. But I mean, if these people are rich, just steal their money. Take all their assets. If you're like some kind of a violent pedophile, the government should be able to steal your money, take your money away from you, and give it to poor people. Ooh, the worst punishment for any MAGA conservative, rich person. Helping the poor.
Along with Daniel Syed, who was also scouting on behalf of Epstein and Jean-Luc Brunel. They had their agreement. Here's a sample of how this would work. Jeffrey Epstein asked him to take a full body shot of someone. Daniel Syed says,
say 8 years? 8 years ago? Oh, 8 years ago. I thought it was 8 years old. What the fuck?
Now she is really skinny. I will do Polaroid. Jeffrey Epstein asks for a copy of her passport and then asks, how many tickets do you want for Woody, meaning Woody Allen? He says 2. Okay.
What the fuck? Woody Allen? Who would have thought the guy that, like, didn't he marry his daughter? I think that it was technically like his wife's kid, but still, he like knew her when she was a child. It's pretty crazy.
Thank you.
The death penalty is more expensive and would be more expensive. No, it's not. Listen, just to be absolutely clear, I understand what you're saying. Hey, the death penalty is more expensive. The death penalty is only more expensive when we care enough to give people a second chance. Okay, we have fucking DNA now. We know things for a matter of fact. You know, back then it was more easy to get like a false conviction. Nowadays we know for a matter of fact that it's more expensive because you have to like give them a 20-year appeal process. Don't do that. We got to just stop doing that for serious cases. If you got somebody that's like provably a fucking sexual predator, why the fuck do we need to? Well, I got to give them their fair share of 20 years. No, we don't. We don't have to do that. That's a social construct. That's a social construct. All right? His wife's adopted daughter that he basically raised. Yeah, fucking nasty shit.
Full body if possible. And then Jeffrey Epstein says, doesn't look too happy. He says, very nice, easygoing, dream to work in the United States or visit the United States working as a model in Dubai. He asks age. Daniel
Dude, listening to this stuff is so disgusting. It makes me like actually upset. It's like makes me fucking my stomach hurt.
Says 22 or 23. I forgot to ask her. She looks younger. I have her number if you want to call her. She was going to send this evening. And
is that why they wanted her? Because she was 22 or 3, but she looked younger? Ew.
This happens over and over. At one point, he talks about a Thai actress. Jeffrey Epstein says he can see her on Wednesday, and then he complains that she wants to meet in a restaurant. I don't do that in New York, and then says she didn't even respond. Not nice. The point is, a lot of these girls were looking to come to the United States for one reason or another, for some kind of dream. They would have.
Well, yeah, they probably think it's better over here, which it generally is. But then the way they get over here is by being sex trafficked and basically being prisoner. It's pretty fucking disgusting.
For passports or visas, and then ultimately get sent here by this network of people who would later be accused of trafficking or other abuses. Now, to be clear, there have not been charges against Daniel Syed, and the government, remember, says they have no evidence to go even predicate.
I'm surprised the government isn't going after somebody whose last name is Syed. Let's be fucking real, especially today's government.
Investigation against uncharged third parties. So it's a little bit bizarre to be reading about this scouting operation for Jeffrey Epstein, the way he recruited girls, and then be told, yeah, nothing to see here. Yeah, one of the scouts was like this, like, who himself in jail. But no, there's no one else here, even though there's definitely guys floating around. Even though we literally have redacted defendants in our...
It's crazy. Like, look at all these people. Look at all these minors and victims. All of these victims. There's, like, tremendous amounts of victims. There's at least 17 so far, what we just see on the screen. Why are we not getting the predator list? That's the real question to ask. Like, why are we not getting the predator list? You know, why are we getting slow leaked, incomplete information? All this was supposed to be released. We're supposed to know who the predators are. Why aren't we getting the predator release? Okay, you ever seek to catch a predator? Now it's time to release the predator list. And it just makes me wonder, why would Donald Trump, a guy who was best friends with Epstein for 15 years, not just release all this information? If he's some great insider informant, blah, 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 whatever fucking bullshit they're trying to make up, you know, or this altruistic guy, why not just be like, hey, guys, I was his friend. I got tricked. Here's the list, though. This is how I make penance. Instead, we're getting a slow, continuous release anytime there's a controversy going on to distract from something else, right? When did we get this? Like, that's what it is. It's controversy after controversy. Oh, CPB executed a guy, ICE executed a girl, unjustifiable in both instances. What do we do? Oh, let's release a little more of the Epstein files for people to go through. That's not really enough information for anything. Oh, that's a great idea. Hey guys, Donald, it's just constant, dude. It's fucking crazy.
Old draft of an indictment. We have nothing to do. We can't possibly imagine doing anything. And that brings me to one of the frustrating parts of these whole files is the redactions. I mean, I know I've been over this, but it's a different thing. In the past, the files were sort of overly redacted to protect people. The problem this time is not only are a lot of people still being protected, like literally the names of the people they were going to charge, you couldn't argue those are victims, but the work was just done so sloppy that oftentimes you'll find that the DOJ has uploaded 2 documents that are functionally identical and they redacted one but not the other, letting you see what's ultimately behind the mask, which is dumb because sometimes the thing they're redacting is Jeffrey Epstein's name, or other times it.
What the fuck? Well, I mean, who would possibly think that this administration would be dumb as fuck? Who would ever think that, dude? You know, I mean, I guess it's entirely possible that these are honest mistakes. It's probably, well, they're not honest mistakes. They're dumb fucking idiots. But also, maybe it's intentional. Maybe it's all part of the confusion tactic. Maybe that's what it is.
It's somebody who clearly is not a victim because then you see the non-redacted copy and you're like, yeah, that's clearly not a victim. So it's a little strange what they seem to have done here. Let me give you a for instance. So we have this message from somebody whose name is blacked out. And we see participants, and then we see Jeffrey Epstein is involved, right? And it says, we need to work around your 38. We need to push back on the lies, then crush the pedo trafficking narrative, then rebuild your...
Crush the narrative. Well, I mean, what we got here? We need to work around your 38. We need to push back on the lies. Lies, okay. Crush the pedo trafficking narrative. Well, who's trying to do that? Let's see. Nick Fuentes saying it's not pedophilia. Same thing with Megyn Kelly. Yikes, dude. Hold on a second. Does it seem like there's a possibility where is Fuentes getting paid by whoever was paying Epstein, the Epstein guy, to try to run a narrative that it's not that big of a deal? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. Who would pay Jeffrey Epstein, by the way? I don't know.
Your image as a philanthropist. Now, I want to know who's doing that. Who's trying to rebuild Jeffrey Epstein's image, right? Well, we go ahead, we scroll down, and we see that Jeffrey Epstein sends something. He says, in any
Does that say Steve Bannon?
bar where drinking age is 18, and you see the participant is once again blacked out. But underneath it, in a separate file, we see Steve Bannon, a famous political figure, is in here, and he's saying the same thing. He says, first, we need to push back on the lies, then crush the trafficking narrative, then rebuild your image as a philanthropist. Guys.
Damn, Steve Bannon. That's intentional. You know that's intentional. You know Trump's trying to fucking throw Steve Bannon away. It's so funny because Steve Bannon is the one that Trump used to leak this idea that he should run for a 3rd term. So.
Why did you censor out his name?
It's fucking crazy.
Or like, why was that censored at all? I don't understand. And I certainly don't understand why Jeffrey Epstein's name in this one is censored. So Jeffrey's not censored in this one, but Bannon is. And then Bannon's not censored in this one, and Epstein is. And
Incredible.
Sometimes this creates the bizarre impression that they are censoring for victim names or for some like kind of victim status or for some reason. And then you see the other file and you're like, why did you do this? It's just very poorly done throughout. That's
Crazy.
just something I wanted to comment on is not only did they once again not fully redact things because they were sloppy, but also...
You want to know what's really interesting about the Epstein list? That I want you guys to understand is that the cover up for the Epstein situation is obviously intentional from the Trump administration because he's on the list. It's just about pushing out information in a confusing way that doesn't actually name the predator so we know who to hate, probably because Trump is one himself. Right. But what I find interesting is that you see the cracks leaking, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene had to basically stop being in Congress because she disavowed Trump and didn't want to associate with him. You saw like Trump tried to push it to the Senate and the House and say like, oh, I'm not going to release the files unless they say I have to, hoping Republicans would say you don't have to release them. And they said that he had to release them. Right. And the point I'm making is that like Donald Trump tried to engage in some kind of conspiracy cover up, in my opinion, of the Epstein files. And yet we haven't had a single thing like that for COVID. There hasn't been a single thing like that for COVID. People want to call it a conspiracy, but like, where are the insiders finally coming out being like, yeah, that was fake? It wasn't. It wasn't. The best that they could do is like, hey, you know that there's do you know that there's side effects to some stuff? Yeah, no shit. There's side effects to all vaccines. You want to know what the side effects are of COVID though? Death. It's much worse. So it's just so interesting. It's so interesting. But like MAGA, the conspiracy theorist central, is willing to like hand wave a lot of this and just be like, all right, whatever. Like, whatever. You got people sitting here like Fuentes and Megyn Kelly saying that like all 15-year-olds aren't even really children. Blah, 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 blah. It's basically what they're saying. So they're willing to hand wave that away. But COVID, not a like every country in the world apparently is in on it. All the world leaders, not a single person said, yeah, this is fake. Not a single person came out and like verified any of your insane delusional conspiracies. It's fucking weird, man. You guys are weirdos. And the biggest problem is you stupid assholes were staying home and you got paid to stay home. I had to work. So I was like, oh, this shit's fucking real. That's how I also know climate change is real, because when nobody was driving on the roads, it was the most beautiful days out. It's fucking incredible. I used to work outside. So yeah, man, interesting thought.
Like victims' names got stuck in this. Like girls' names appear sometimes, and like I'm not sure are they supposed to be redacted because they're redacted over here. They're not over here. I can kind of
listen to the Epstein file stuff makes me feel redacted, honestly.
Figure out who it is. It's just kind of a mess. I needed to point that out. You know, other times we have things like this, like Brock Pierce, a co-founder of Tether, also known as the biggest stablecoin in the world. He sent a message to Jeffrey Epstein with the subject line Anastasia, and then it's just a bunch of redacted stuff with a few untitled JPEGs in here. And so, you know, you're thinking to yourself, what is this? Is he sending some illicit media? Like, what is this? Well, then we have this page where it wasn't redacted. I put that little dark square. I didn't know if this should have been redacted or not. It was like a bunch of JPEGs. Now, does that contain victims? Is Brock Pierce sending photos of victims? I don't know because of the way the government did this. But underneath, it says, the Ukraine is now my favorite country, smiley face.
What? Why the fuck would they say that?
Brock Pierce with the subject line Anastasia. I don't know what to make of that. I'm just saying the redactions, like the way they did this is not good. But now let's return to Steve Bannon and his we're going to crush the trafficking narrative, because this guy, oh boy, has been revealed in the files to being like Jeffrey's right-hand PR man. I mean, this guy was filming basically a documentary about Jeffrey Epstein in order to rehabilitate his image. And some of it has actually leaked to the public. It's been interesting to watch how that's been received. But the funny thing is that originally Jeffrey Epstein's plan was to just do a YouTube video. Like.
Okay. What is he like that fucking, who's that one guy? The LSF guy. He's like, now he's trying to do the LSF guy's not even close to bad. He's not even bad at all, frankly. I'm just saying, like, he's trying to make a YouTube career out of getting banned as a mod for LSF. It's fucking funny. Was that Epstein trying to do it too? I mean, he would have been welcomed with open arms by people like Tectone. Let's be fucking real. He's only a vibe rapist, of course, but it's interesting.
Apology, like a old school 2016, turn on the camera for authenticity and saying, you know, he says, do you think I can do my own video interview and upload it to YouTube? No sandbagging, interview format, or like a diary piece. Steve Bannon says, if you do an interview, it can't be like...
Would I have interviewed Epstein? Dude, what a wild question, bro. What the fuck?
Johnny does a YouTube. It has to be amazingly professional and perfectly cut. Then Jeffrey Epstein responds...
Perfectly cut. Like the young boys we bring to Epstein's Island.
Woody, we assume Woody Allen, because they were close, said he would help edit. Damn. Not sure how to stage, what points to make, but better than trying to do an interview that I have no experience doing. Goal is to humanize the monster. Anything written...
Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
...carries little weight, to which Steve Bannon replies, yes.
All of this makes so much sense as to why Trump is so connected to this. What they're doing right now is like, hey, Jeffrey Epstein is like a convicted pedophile guy. We need to control the monster. We need to make him seem as good as we can. We need to push the dial a little bit. Like, that's so Trump. I'm sorry, but Trump's entire fucking thing was that he is an excellent marketer. What does this sound like? It just sounds like marketing talk. Like, holy fuck.
Jeffrey Epstein, should it be an interview format? Interviewed by me. They start talking about, like, how do we do this? Humor, apology, how did I get rich? Question mark topics. They're brainstorming. How do we trick the public into seeing me as more than a monster? Now, funny enough, right before this, Jeffrey Epstein asks about a dinner with Woody. And then he says, or too many pedos in one place. And you gotta love the self-awareness there. Now, I don't know what he meant by that.
Personally, I don't think I do have to love it, okay?
To be clear, I'm not making that accusation against Woody Allen. We'll talk about him in a second. That's Jeffrey Epstein saying that. I think what's interesting to point out, though, is how all these rich and powerful people are circling the wagons to try to protect Jeffrey Epstein's reputation, right? This is a guy who at this point has been known for years to have pled guilty to these 2008 charges. This was an open secret. And so Steve Bannon goes along though anyways, and he films this documentary. Now what's interesting is he starts talking about the documentary.
That's the one that got released? Interesting.
And he starts saying, I'm watching our second hour now. Guys were blown away. I didn't think it was strong at the time, but I was wrong. Need huge part about threat of AI versus reality, threat of climate change.
Oh my God. They're talking about AI even back then, dude. What the fuck? Jesus.
And this is where the notes start going back and forth of how can we get you to think of other things? So part of the conceit of this big interview of Jeffrey Epstein was to try to humanize him and actually present him as this genius, everyman, quirky guy with a few flaws, right? They knew
a few flaws, guy. Well, you know how it is, guys. You know, when you get rich, you get a little eccentric. Sometimes you like to buy expensive shrimp. Sometimes you like to buy children, I guess. I don't know. Jeffrey Epstein, what was he really? What was really Jeffrey Epstein? I think he was really just like the Costco of child trafficking, right? Great deals. And all the employees get treated pretty well. They get paid pretty fairly, guys. We got to run a narrative to defend this fucking disgusting freak. That's what we got to do, guys. That's the way we got to do it. Okay.
Couldn't run away from the crimes.
Okay.
To quote, in Bannon's words, yes, 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 of course, but we must counter rapists who traffics in female children to be raped by world's most powerful, richest men. That can't be redeemed. Can't redeem the unredeemable. You are a lot of things which we will show, but you are not that. Bannon is aware.
Yes, of course, we must counter the rapist who traffics of female children to be raped by world's most powerful. That can't be redeemed. That's why we. Ew, they're fucking. He's like acknowledging that he's disgusting, but he's like, we have to. How do we counter this? This is fucking gross, dude.
Redeemed. Can't redeem the unredeemable. You are a lot of things which we will show, but you are not that. Bannon is aware.
It sounds like he's exactly that. Actually, that's the biggest problem.
That like they can't fully embrace the Epstein thing. They have to kind of make it about more than that. And if you see the YouTube clip going around, that's what that is. And it's been so interesting to watch the reaction because you see, even for people who've been prepped with the idea that this is basically propaganda, some of them still fall for it. They post things like, you know, oh, cat bro is casually.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. That's fucking crazy. That makes sense. So I keep seeing, I actually saw clips of this like interview from Epstein that was leaked. And the interview, he basically is admitting that like he's like a sex trafficker, but at no point does he ever like admit that he's a child sex trafficker. So it kind of sounds like they are trying to run a level of defense for Epstein by releasing information that sounds reasonable, right? Does that make sense? Like, yeah, you know, I was this thing, but I wasn't that thing, and that's out of context. That added with like Fuentes and Megyn Kelly like running defense for this shit, that's fucking crazy. Thinking about it like that, it's actually fucking insane, dude.
Confirming the world's conspiracies because he's talking about 2008. But guys, that's the whole deception. They're like trying to be like, hey, this guy, this horrible monster, he's going to tell you the secrets of the inside club. So you think...
Oh, yeah. I love the one clip I saw where they were like, oh, people would really get upset if they found out about this. And it's just like about how like a bank doesn't have to have all the funds that it lends out. That's like, it's like, oh, yeah, that's really crazy, man. Nobody ever knew about that.
That's the whole thing. That's how they're getting away with this. It's not some kind of, oh, he happened to want to talk about this. This is all premeditated. This has gone through revisions. They even called Jeffrey Epstein the smartest guy in the room.
Look, you're the smartest guy in the room, right?
What the fuck? That's crazy. Imagine fucking slurping up a fucking predator. That's crazy.
You know that.
It's honestly ridiculous anyone believes the false conceit of, you're obviously the smartest man in the room. You could tell us the world's secrets. I mean, this guy, honestly, he talks about some of his engagements, like with the Rockefeller board, and he tries to say that owning a calculator is why he got that.
It was very advanced.
That's fucking crazy.
Advanced in those days to have a Texas Instrument calculator, where it could, by putting in the numbers, it would multiply for you to do square roots. And that was the first, and everyone who had a calculator was already advanced on Wall Street. The most important parts of business were really now going to calculations. Places like Rockefeller needed someone to say, look, we're entering a different world where numbers and the numbers of companies, portfolio management was going to be balanced, it was going to be statistical. Jeffrey, could you come on the board, potentially sit on the finance committee?
So we're honestly supposed to believe that Jeffrey Epstein got onto this prestigious Rockefeller board because he had a calculator, but also that he's the smart.
Oh, is he trying to say that? Okay, what? Is he trying to say that the creation of like this new technology made everything more accessible? So the formerly unqualified Epstein would now be able to get qualified, and that's how it's not actually a conflict of interest or something? Or what?
Smartest guy in the room, the smartest man on Wall Street.
I see.
And let's not talk about those horrific crimes he committed because, you know, he's not really such a bad guy after all. But it wasn't just Steve Bannon that was trying to humanize or giving advice on how to humanize Epstein. It was also Richard Branson. the famous billionaire, he was caught emailing Jeffrey Epstein saying, "Dear Jeffrey, it was really nice seeing you yesterday. The
Wow, that's horrible.
boys in water sports can't stop speaking about it. Anytime you are in the area, would love to see you as long as you bring your harem." I don't know, that's not that ambiguous, guys.
No, your harem, that's the sex trafficked women.
I think we can imagine what that means. But anyways, he says, one, I think if Bill Gates was willing to say that you've been a brilliant advisor to him, that you slipped up many years ago by sleeping with a 17-and-a-half-year-old and were punished for it, that you've more than
17 and a half. They always got to get that extra half in there when they're trying to run defense for themselves.
learned your lesson and have done nothing that's against the law since. And yes, as a single man, you have a penchant for women, but there's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, something along those lines. He's giving him PR advice. How to get your reputation back. Hey, Jeffrey, privately, I loved you. You can come back anytime with your harem. Jeffrey Epstein responds, nice seeing you. Thanks for your hospitality. I appreciate your public relations thoughts. Now, according to the New York Times, a Branson representative said the two had a business meeting and stressed the women were adults and had not attended the meeting. All above board. That's what everyone says, by the way. Remember what Elon Musk said, right? That's the playbook. Admit nothing, deny everything.
Yep, that's the projection, baby.
Speaking of, remember Howard Lutnick, who we showed on video saying that he had never seen Epstein since 2000?
Yes, I do remember that. I do remember that video, dude. I remember that fucking shit was crazy.
2005.
So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's
Personally, I prefer emptantrophy, which is when you're empty. That was the joke.
gross.
Although also calling him the greatest blackmailer ever.
This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever.
Well, also according to the Times, Lutnick said he spent zero time with him, even though there are emails basically to the contrary, where Epstein is saying, nice seeing you after the conviction. I mean, these people, not only are they lying, they won't even admit when they've been caught lying. But now let's talk about Prince Andrew, too, who was caught lying over a woman at some kind of a party. I mean, just not a good, this is not doing you any favors. You know, I know Prince Andrew soon will probably be on the comeback tour. It's going to be a bunch of highly paid PR execs. Maybe Steve Bannon can jump in, shoot another 5-hour
You think?
podcast trying to rehabilitate him. Like Prince
I mean, it seems that's the go-to guy. It's interesting. Steve Bannon seems to be the go-to guy when you're looking to verify or validate yourself after horrifically disgusting allegations.
Andrew, what's the secret behind the royal family?
Look, you're the smartest guy in the room.
But again, has he admitted anything? Has he denied everything? Now, we should also probably talk about Noam Chomsky as well, the guy behind the book Manufacturing Consent, which in
What the fuck? Manufacturing consent? What the fuck does that mean? That's insane.
hindsight, maybe we should have suspected something. But either way, he also sends some reputational advice to his buddy Jeffrey Epstein. He says, I watched the horrible way you've been treated by the press and public. It's
The horrible way you've been treated. More Trump language. I've been treated horribly.
painful to say, but I think the best way to proceed is to ignore it. When the vultures dearly want is a public response, which then provides a public opening. In general, I think it's best not to react unless directly questioned, particularly in the current mood. That's the best advice I can think of. Noam. Now, he sends that to Matthew Hiltzik.
Guy's name is Gnome? Come on, that's tough, dude. That's fucking crazy. Imagine your name was Elf.
Of Hiltzik Strategies, who is a also famous PR guy, I guess, trying to help Epstein, I assume, who responds, I think that is wise. Now, later talking with Bannon, Epstein loops in Hiltzik again. He says, Matt Hiltzik thought your idea was epic. Hypocrisy of the liberal left. And he says, yep, to a confidential.
What? Hypocrisy of the liberal left? Wait, are you telling me that this is all from, this is like this fucking Epstein shit is literally like the MAGA playbook. Everything. The lie, like, oh, lie, this fucking lie, or whatever the fuck it was. Admit nothing. You know what I mean? This is like the fucking MAGA playbook, dude. Holy shit.
Eventually like to sit and help if you like. This is Matthew Hiltzik. You know, a lot of powerful people basically were bending over backwards, left, right, center,
Bro, I don't even know who the fuck Noam Chomsky is.
trying to rehabilitate this guy's image. And the question is, why? Why were all these guys so interested in their precious Jeffrey Epstein if they had no involvement? I mean, that's the part I can't figure out it. Because all of them deny it. All of them don't admit anything. And so what exactly is the problem? But now it's time to talk about Elon Musk's brother, Kimball Musk. He was also in the five.
Kimball Musk? That's fucking insane. How the fuck did they hate their kid enough to call him Kimball? Sounds like fucking dog food. Oh, let me get some kibble. Like, what the fuck is that, dude?
Jeffrey was copied on an email talking about Kimball's 40th birthday, where the password to the secret party was Pussy Riot. And then
I am Pussy Riot. Wow.
in all caps, Boris, the sender of this email, says, I am not joking about the password. This was in 2012 in September. Now that's important because a little bit later, Kimball Musk is emailing
Kimball Musk. That's the craziest allegation so far.
Boris Nikolic and Jeffrey Epstein. And
Who? That sounded wrong when he said it.
he's talking to them about being connected with some redacted name and saying, I believe you both played a role whatever that means. Now, whether this was at the party or, right after their meeting in October, I don't know. But what's interesting is Boris responds and says, Kimball, just FYI, you better be nice to Redacted. Jeffrey goes crazy when someone mistreats his girls/friends, so better be very nice to her. Kimball Musk responds, message received.
See, guys, he was nice to all the girls. Are you understanding now? It's all fake, dude. It's all fake, guys. My name is Nick Fuentes.
Wide and clear. Then he says, seriously, I'm very happy with my time so far with Jennifer. She's great. Now, again, was that supposed to be a redacted name we just read? I don't know. They've been redacting it in earlier emails. Then all of a sudden you just get Jennifer. I can't really figure that out. But what I can figure out is that a little while later, a few days later, Jeffrey Epstein gets an email. Now, we know Kimball credits the meetup and says Boris and Epstein were responsible in some way for this. But now Jeffrey Epstein's being emailed about Jen's schedule. Is that Jennifer? I mean, it seems like it because Jen's schedule for the rest of the year, and it seems like the assistant has copy and pasted Jen.
Damn, I can't believe they got Jin Sakai in the fucking Epstein files. I thought all my fucking people were safe.
Response, because she says, Sue, these would be dates in November, and then starts saying, she can go to New York. She says the 29th to the 7th, she's free. Kimball to New York. Then she says, Kimball, Jen, London. Kimball, Jen, London to Morocco, ? Then she has a break, and then it's Jen, Kimball, St. Bart's, assuming we're not sick of each other by the end of November. Now, I can't figure out why is she running this schedule about when she's hanging out with Kimball, who Jeffrey set her up with. Why is she running this by Elon Musk? To be clear, I don't know. There could be, I guess, innocent explanations for this. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that's my first thought when we talk about the Epstein files is that there's got to be some level of innocence explanation.
But all I see are constant, powerful people either being intro to girls, talking about the harem, talking about beautiful ladies, and the FBI, they can't figure it out. They have no...
It's so interesting. One of the things that makes ladies so beautiful, well, there's a couple things. One is them being adults. So that might be a hot take amongst at least this situation. But also consent. It's very sexy. I think it is, at least. I find it very hot. So, you know what I mean? Which is the bare minimum.
What? No evidence to even investigate third parties. Why? I guess because they're rich and powerful. Around the world, we're seeing resignations. We're seeing people lose their status. But here in the United States, we've got multiple presidents in the files. We got the world's richest man in the files, several of the world's richest men in the files, and we just can't drum up any kind of evidence.
Whoa, that's so interesting. Wow. Hey guys, would you consider that a shithole country? They are the kind of country that won't go after the fucking predators of the Epstein files. I call that a real shithole country, guys.
Just incredible.
Which is true. We are the shithole. We are literally the shittiest hole of the Western countries. We have horrible everything. I mean, we have the lowest quality of life over any Western country. But guys, I'm 36 years old and I literally let my teeth rot out of my head. So your culture is shit, and I'm obviously better. Isn't it? It's interesting to think about when you're born in one of the greatest countries in the world, and you're rich. And somehow you're still the most disgusting piece of shit representation of that group of people. You know what I mean? Could you imagine never working a real meaningful job or career in your entire life, getting lucky to become a content creator when you're 20, only surviving because of a welfare system that keeps you and your entire family alive, and then complaining that other people in other countries are somehow, they are bad. You are the worst. You are literally the dreg of our society. You shouldn't be talking about our culture because you've never engaged in it. You've never engaged in hard work. You've never pulled worked a legitimate job in any meaningful capacity. I don't understand. I just find it interesting.
Incredible to me. Now, I also want to talk about another rich and powerful person, and that is Peter Attia. He's a podcast bro. He's
a fucking bald fucking guy is a podcast bro. Who the fuck? That's fucking insane. I've never seen that before.
Longevity expert, and actually,
guys, I was thinking of starting a podcast myself personally.
Funny enough, I read his book, and that's going to come into play.
I do not like to read
here in a second because, oh boy, did I get some additional context. But let's start here with something that Peter Attia sent Jeffrey Epstein. He says, subject, got a fresh shipment. And then Epstein responds, me too, and there's a completely redacted...
Well, at least he said hashtag me too, am I right?
Image. Is that a girl? Is this bad redactions? We don't know, although we'll find out in a second because later Peter responded to this. But Peter says, please tell me you found that picture online. Jeffrey responds, got a fresh shipment. Afraid not. Peter responds, you know the biggest problem with becoming friends with you. The life you lead is so outrageous, yet I can't tell a soul. Why, Peter? Why can't you
tell a soul, Pete? Come on, Peter. Mr. Pumpkin Eater, what the hell's wrong with you?
You tell a soul. Why don't you tell us now? Now that it's all out in the open, why don't you tell us why you can't tell a soul the secrets or the life that Epstein leads. And then we get another redacted.
It must be so cool, I guess. That must be what it is, guys. Let's be a little generous. It's not like they released a bunch of files about a convicted pedophile.
Photo, right? And then some more images, and Peter says, please tell me that's not where you actually are. And Jeffrey...
It's honestly, it's so crazy, because like I'm really thinking about it. You know, the first, like, Nick Fuentes has really been defending Jeffrey Epstein for a long time, which is weird because he usually really hates Jewish people, except for the most provably disgusting one that happens to be Jewish. He's defending. I mean, he's been defending him for a while. Like, how many months ago was it where Nick Fuentes said something along the lines of, like, guys, you got to think about it this way. You'd be kind of gay and lame if the coolest guy ever invited you to a really cool party. Throwing out, like, this light charity in a maybe joking way, but this light charity about how, like, the parties were probably really cool with this undertone that maybe it wasn't all about kids. And nowadays, what's he saying? Oh, you know, 15's not really a kid. Come on, guys, you got to stop. And I saw another clip today where he's like, guys, the oldest was like 15. All the other stuff is unprovable. This is the guy who thinks that, like, every conspiracy in the world, like COVID, he validates that. But the idea that maybe Epstein was trafficking girls younger than 15, well, that's not provable. That's not really provable. It's so interesting. What requires proof? Prolific sex trafficking? We don't need proof for that. Or, excuse me, COVID conspiracies? We don't need proof for that. But the pedophile guy, well, technically, the youngest was like 15. So, actually, it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, I think this guy's controlled opposition. I think that the entire idea was like, hey, what if we get somebody in there who's like really, really critical of certain groups of people, and then right when you'd think he would really ramp up that critical nature, since there's an association there with the groups that he doesn't like, boom, he's going to be super charitable. Boom, bam, boom, bow. Wow. It's incredible. I wonder if there's something going on there.
He says, you can see the gym in the middle, just me and 4. And Peter says, I think you might have a more interesting life than the Dos Equis guy. Is this off the coast of France?
The what an interesting callback, you know? The Dos Equis guy, the most interesting man in the world. What a silly little meme.
France? No, it's my island in the Caribbean near St. Thomas. If you go to Google Earth and type in Little St. James. Beautiful. Isn't that nice? Behind closed doors, it's beautiful. In public, you know, we'll hear about what a monster this guy is, right? But behind closed doors when nobody's watching, oh, it's beautiful. There's some other stuff Peter Attia said, which I'm not going to get into. I don't think it's very, appropriate for medical professionals to be saying such things. But, this wasn't all business, right? This wasn't just doctor-patient kind of stuff. There's a lot of guy talk, a lot of banter.
Just one of the guys. A little bit of guy talk.
Between the fellas about ladies. And maybe that's why...
Ladies and fellas, baby.
Peter Attia says that hopefully Jeffrey Epstein is in town when I'm back in 2 weeks. I go into Jeffrey Epstein withdrawal when I don't see him. So
what does that mean, bro? Jeffrey Epstein withdrawal. What the fuck is that, dude? What the fuck?
Guys, these two were close. I mean, apparently so close that, Peter Attia goes
into withdrawal, yeah. Interesting.
Withdrawal when he doesn't see him. Peter Attia says, are you on island? Jeffrey Epstein says, P Beach, probably Palm Beach. And he says, what do you do when you get there, Jeffrey Epstein?
Maybe it's a fetish thing.
Yes. Peter Attia.
I wouldn't doubt that Epstein would have an entire island devoted to peeing, I don't think that's a hot take. Who knows, though?
Yeah, besides that, I mean, they're not even trying to hide it, guys. This is barely code at this point. What do you do? Guess. Well, besides that, Jeffrey, we know what you do, right? So it's so funny that the FBI's like, we don't know.
What are you talking about? I thought he was just a finance guy. I thought that's why every single person every single elitist has a nice picture with him. Hey guys, I don't know who the fuck this guy is, but I gotta get a picture with him right now. Chat, I don't know who the fuck this guy is, but I definitely need a picture with this guy. That's pretty much what it is. I don't know who he is. I never have known who he is. It's a conspiracy if you say I know who he is, but I gotta get a picture with him. Let's get a couple of them. I gotta get a picture with him. Also, he had really good D&D tournaments on the island. I don't know who he is, but it had nothing to do with any of the kids stuff. Some say 95% of it was snorkeling. Most of it was just fun. You know what I mean? It was basically like Disneyland. It was basically just like Disneyland. You know what I mean? It's incredible stuff.
We can't tell what's out there.
Except I guess in this instance, you get to touch the kids. You don't just get to, get annoyed with them because they're loud and obnoxious in the fucking park.
We have no evidence, right? No evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties and then proceed to dump on us a ton of evidence, at least to investigate, right? I'm not saying these people are guilty. Obviously, all of them deny, don't admit, blame other people, say other people are responsible for everything. So that is taken as a given. I am not accusing anyone here. I'm just saying, seems like we got a few leads here, fellas. Some people to look at. Now, I want to address the fact that Peter Attia has actually responded to this whole debacle. He says the following email is what I sent my team last night. I sent a similar version to my patients as well. You put your trust, your credibility, your hard work, what we built together, and I take that responsibility seriously. You deserve a complete and honest account of what did and did not happen. I apologize. I did not get this out sooner. I wanted to be thorough. He says, I was not involved in any criminal activity. My interactions had nothing to do with his abuse or exploitation of anyone. I was never on his plane, never on his island, never present at any parties. That said, I apologize and regret putting myself in a position where
Guys, I didn't even know who he is,
emails, some of them embarrassing, tasteless, and indefensible, are now public. So it's this apology. He addresses some of the things, and he says that some of it's just banter, right? Like I said, it's just guy talk, whatever that means. He claims that his Got a Fresh shipment was in reference to a photograph of bottles of metformin, and then Jeffrey responded,
"Whoa, bottles of metformin, I take that for my diabetes,"
with a photograph of an adult woman. I responded with crude, tasteless banter. He says one line in that exchange about his life being outrageous and me not being able to tell anyone is being interpreted as awareness of wrongdoing. That's not how I meant it at all. What I was referring to poorly and flippantly was the discretion commanded by those social and professional circles. The idea you don't talk about who you meet. I don't know, Peter. This seems like revisionist history a little bit. I mean, personally, to me, as I'm viewing this, third hand, right? Just from the outsider perspective. Now, Peter says he did ask Jeffrey about his 2008 conviction because all this happened afterwards, right? He characterized it as prostitution-related charges. In 2018, I learned that this was grossly minimized. I was incredibly naive to believe him.
I just wanted to believe the guy that had all these charges for being a pedophile. I just wanted to believe he was innocent because why? Why? Did he cook a good burger? Did he make a mean burger? What was it about him? What the hell is that? What the fuck are you doing, dude? What are you, a Marilyn Manson groupie? I know he was insanely abusive, but I just wanted to believe it wasn't true. Like, what is wrong with you? You fucking stupid? I mean, I'm sorry to be an asshole, but, let's be fucking real. Let's just be fucking real here.
And then later explains that in 2018, November, he read the Miami Herald investigative article, told him he needed to accept responsibility for what he did, and said he even asked Epstein to provide therapy to Epstein's victims, which is an interesting...
Whoa. Guys, if you do a therapy, you're actually innocent. It's incredible. Isn't that that's where we're at?
Approach to have here. Now, the funny thing is, there are some more emails between Peter Attia that we need to read, because remember that he said he read this 2018
just a nice guy
article from the Miami Herald. I believe it's this one by Julia K. Brown in November 28th. It's about Jeffrey Epstein assembling a large cult-like network of underage girls. But in December, Peter Attia says, home is very good, work stressful, making some changes. He asks him, what's the fallout from the recent story?
Fallout mentioned?
Apparently talking about the Miami Herald. Now, maybe I just didn't see the email.
Did they already know about the show back then? What the fuck?
That where he was demanding accountability. I don't know what that's about, but Jeffrey Epstein says, same as usual, just tougher. Peter Attia says, legally, any change.
Guys, I know they said that he's a PDF file, but we use those all the time at work, so I guess they're not that bad.
Jeffrey Epstein, 0. So, I don't know. Maybe this whole you got to provide therapy to, these victims happened. I haven't seen it yet. I definitely could see it. But it's just...
Who gives a fuck if he does, dude? Who cares if he provides? This is what they should do. They should have given him capital punishment and then taken all of his money and given it to, the victims and other support programs for other fucking victims.
Kind of shocking. I just kind of don't buy it. Like the whole, is there any change legally? That more sounds like you're covering yourself. I mean, just to be honest. But maybe I could look...
Wow, I can't believe you're being so uncharitable here, CoffeeZilla.
Look past all of that, if not for the thing we're about to see, which just in my mind is maybe the worst thing I've seen in the files. Not for its, explicitness, the amount of simping that people did for Jeffrey Epstein. Now they all say, oh, it was a personal mistake, blah, blah, blah.
Personal mistake. Yep. Just like when I was simp for girls in middle school, dude, just a mistake. Not my fault.
I regret it. I didn't look into it enough. But the level is just... You've never seen anything like it. So remember I said I read a book by Peter Attia. It was called Outlive, and he's supposed to be this doctor who knows a lot about longevity. So he writes it, and I picked it up because at the rate we're getting rid of these crimes, I need to live forever in order to try to stop some of these scams. But as I pick up this book...
Me personally, I just do audiobooks when I care enough, you know what I mean? I ain't reading all that.
And one of the things in the book is Peter Attia kind of reflecting internally about how he's kind of been a bit, and I'm paraphrasing here, but a bit of a psycho in his life. And he needed to focus on family stuff. And so
I get that. I've had some rough moments. I used to be a little bit of a fuck boy, and I was very misguided and not going in a particularly good direction. You know what I mean? Personally, never went to Pedophile Island, so I guess they got that going for me. That's one of the good things is compared to like our administration and all the rich people in society that are apparently amazing and deserve all their money and never did anything bad for it. Why wasn't that bad? By the way, isn't that so interesting? Like every single literal fucking billionaire, rich person, powerful individual in like America is in the Epstein files. You got fucking Elon Musk, you got Donald Trump, you got so many of these other people. And every day, people like me will say, hey, I think these people need to pay more in their taxes. Obviously, they're doing different things to take advantage of the system. They don't even pay themselves. They actually just collect and increase their net worth, and then they take loans out against from banks with like very low interest rate loans for like 3%, and then they use that money and they never pay taxes on it, right? Because their taxes would be more like 30%. So that's how they avoid that. And everybody's like, no, they deserve their money. They've worked hard their whole life. They never cut corners. They never cut corners. Not any of them. They deserve all of it. They're creating jobs. They're good people. Except they're all in the fucking Epstein list. Even Elon Musk, who was desperate. He was too lame for the child party at Epstein. That's fucking crazy. Imagine being too immature. Maybe that's why he had 14 kids of his own. I wonder if there was something there. Maybe he felt like he was missing out. I don't know. It's a joke, guys. Woke is dead. Okay, relax. Relax, conservatives. It's just so fucking interesting. Where the fuck? How did we get here? How did we do this? So all these rich people, they're in the files. They're fucking allegedly doing crazy shit. Oh, by the way, there's no releases of any of the actual predators. We haven't released those in for that information. Of course, I wonder how. But they also deserve all their money, and they're good people. I don't know. It's interesting.
It's almost a confessional of some embarrassing things in his life. And honestly, it comes off as very vulnerable, very self-reflective. He's this doctor telling other people what to do, but he's not a very good patient. That's kind of how it comes off. And one of the stories is awful. I won't go too much into it, but basically his son has this horrible medical emergency. It's described in this book like...
Is it having a shitty fucking dad that might be a pedophile?
This, a few months ago, Tuesday, July 11th, 2017, that date is important. At 5:45 to be exact, I received a call from Jill, my wife. She was in an ambulance with our infant son. Now again, I'm not going to get into the details here because, it's tragic and I'm not trying to bring that into it. What is relevant is that Peter Attia talks about how he stayed in New York and didn't show up because he was, quote, busy with his important work.
His kid was in a medical emergency and he didn't go back home because he was having Epstein withdrawals. Was he the one that said he had Epstein withdrawals?
Today, just thinking about what happened, I feel nauseous about my behavior. I can't believe I did that to my family. Now, at the time I read that and I was like, well, it's at least as good that you self-reflected on that. It's horrible, but yeah, you were a bit of a psycho. But what's crazy? Now we find out some of the important work. It's a little unclear, but some of the important work may have been Jeffrey Epstein, which is just...
Whoa! Wait, what? This guy? That's crazy. What a good dad. Am I right, guys? Chat, are you a good dad if you do kind of disgusting shit like this?
Oh, it's so dark to imagine.
His wife was in the ICU for 4 days alone, for real?
Remember, he says July 11th, 2017 is when this all happened. And then he says he did not come home to San Diego until Friday the following week, 10 days later. So July 11th, 2017, 2 days after this happens, he's talking to Jeffrey Epstein. And they seem to be coordinating about something. Sure, what time? Jeffrey Epstein, 9:30. Peter Attia responds. Sure.
Jesus Christ, that's like really fucked up. Like everything aside, that's like really disgusting shit. You're going to leave your wife by herself to deal with like your dying child because you want to do some weird shit on fucking Epstein's Island? That's horrible, dude. That's actually horrible.
Sure, I can come earlier. Also, if you have a hard stop at 10, let me know. You're hanging out with Jeffrey? I don't even know what to say. This is out of pocket. There's no explanation for this. I didn't see this in the response from Peter. Maybe he thinks he addresses it because he already admitted that was like scummy. But that is just... There's a reason that didn't make it in the book, is what I'm trying to say. I didn't see that in the book when I read it. I didn't see... I was actually, one of the things I needed to do, my important...
You think it might be an important one to add,
important work was seeing or talking to Jeffrey Epstein. Isn't that weird? Like, that's the simping that I'm talking about, is these people love this guy. Or that's how it seems to me. Like, what are all these rich and powerful people doing, protecting him, missing emergencies for Jeffrey, fawning over Jeffrey, asking for Jeffrey's harem, saying their biggest problem is the life they lead is so outrageous they can't tell a soul? What is going on here? And is it true they all didn't know, right? Because, I'm reading these documents, and it's hard to say who exactly knew what, when, but I don't believe, remember, they're all...
it doesn't really matter what they did or didn't believe. Missing your Leaving your fucking wife alone to deal with your, child in like intensive care is disgusting fucking behavior. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's like the next level of degeneracy that goes beyond anything I think that like any normal person has ever engaged in.
I don't believe nobody knew, right? Clearly, some people knew what was going on, and there's all this kind of coded language in the files where they talk about this stuff almost in like a nudge kind of way. I mean, here's some Woody Allen stuff. He was in the files. He says his business office, if you can make out the check to me, it looks very bad because then it looks like a gift to me. He says that to Epstein. He says, I don't want to be one of your women, or should I say?
Damn. So he's okay with the women getting treated like fucking cattle, but he doesn't want to do that because he's above that, of course. Of course. Whoa!
Say girls. And what's that? How do we...
Wait, what did he say?
Your women, or should I say girls?
Damn, that's Woody Allen? Wow, Woody, you fucking piece of shit. Holy moly.
That to Epstein. He says, I don't want to be one of your women, or should I say girls.
Disgusting.
And what's that? How do we... Come on, guys. Woody says, I would be much more expensive than your girls. You wouldn't be able to afford me. Jeffrey responds, yes, the price to pay would be too high. Woody says, this will be a beautiful friendship. And then Jeffrey says, as long as I follow orders, smiley face. Woody...
What the fuck?
Allen sends a message saying Woody says the exact same thing, but in a dirtier way. Jeffrey responds, what did he say? Woody Allen, are you kidding? I can't put it in writing. I mean, no evidence? Got no evidence. How? Come on. I think I see a little bit of evidence. I'm squinting, but I think I can see a
Squinting Tarantino, dude.
little bit of
I'm surprised he's not in the files. What the hell?
evidence. I mean, guys, like Jeffrey Epstein right here, where he's talking to a guy, he says, Paris with Woody, and the person responds, for le pedophile convention.
Are they doing a 4chan meme? Or a pedophile convention?
And Jeffrey says, I think pedophile is the plural. I mean, no evidence. I mean, is that no evidence? That's nothing. We don't even want to question these people. There's no investigations going on. So, yeah, it's honestly really sad to see how, look, I'm not saying people around the world are having crazy consequences, but a few people are resigning, thank goodness. A few people are at least facing a little bit of scrutiny, but here Elon Musk lays out the playbook.
Well, unfortunately in America, apparently we're totally okay with pedophiles, so that's incredible stuff.
Our guys, we admit nothing, we deny everything, and we blame others. We just push the spotlight onto other people. And unfortunately, that's what you've seen the whole time from all the people in the files. All of them say, oh, I was so happy these files came out. It's about shining
Dick Cheney's not in the files? That one's a little surprising, I'll tell you.
accountability and justice for the victims. But I
guess he was too busy wanting a fucking warmonger, so...
Nothing to do with it. Okay, so then where's the justice for the victims? So nobody, all of you say somebody else had something to do with it, but everybody says nobody had anything to do with it. The FBI says they don't have any other, investigations, any other kind of leads, despite the fact we have one of the procurers of the women just walking free, apparently, like no charges against him. Have we investigated him? I mean, it's just shocking how much the Epstein files show the powerful, how they protect their own, how so many of them knew what was going on. To the extent they found out later, a lot of them tried to protect Epstein, like literally make PR campaigns for his reputation.
That's crazy. I wonder if it's I wonder if it was because they liked him so much, or if it's because they were afraid for themselves, I don't know. It's something to think about.
And this is a dark look at the state of the world, honestly, because Epstein happened a while ago, but the reason everyone cares is because there's other Epsteins around, right? There's other people evading accountability all the time. There's other people that this band of billionaires and power brokers and PR people, even lawmakers, they circle the wagons and protect their own to the point you can never get accountability for anything. So anyway, that's it. It's a hard look at the Epstein files, but it's one we needed to do. But I want to make the disclaimer once again that, look, I've tried to read people's individual denials where I could, but you should just assume everyone that we are talking about firmly denies any kind of criminal wrongdoing. They deny anything untowards about any kind of...
You gotta make sure you throw out there, hey, listen, I know it's not a fact right now, because these fucking powerful people could bully you with a lawsuit. That's pretty much what it is. Like, that's literally what the whole problem is. Is they could bully the shit out of you with a fucking lawsuit if they wanted to. Something kind of crazy.
Minors. And given the fact that our government doesn't seem to want to investigate anyone, I would just assume everybody here is completely clear. And so I want to get all those caveats in here because we are talking about some very powerful people with enormous means. And I don't want to be seen as I'm saying stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, what I'm saying is the truth, obviously. And I understand Coffee's a little being afraid. I mean, he's releasing all the information, but like, if he pushes too hard, I mean, like, he's somebody who's known well enough for people to be like, oh, for I guess rich people to be more Sue happy, I guess you could say.
Reading the files, I'm giving my personal opinion, but ultimately this is an indictment of our FBI and the people in power. And that's what I think the Epstein files have really shown us. This has been a long road. Can you believe it all started over here and we have come all this way with all these files coming out? And it seems like the question is on the table. Are there going to be consequences?
Is there any chance that any of these individuals who partied with Epstein and engaged in relations with minors will be prosecuted? Any chance?
I'll never say no, and we will always
I was hoping you would say absolutely yes.
investigate any evidence of misconduct. But as you know, it is not a crime to party with Mr. Epstein, and so as horrible as it's not a crime to email with Mr. Epstein, and some of these men
Maybe it should be.
may have done horrible things, and if we have evidence that allows us to prosecute them, you better believe we will. But it's also the kind of thing that
well, this administration needs absolute facts before moving forward with allegations, unless it's signaled we're seeing weird, unverified specific fraud claims in Minnesota. Then, of course, it's a totally different case.
that the American people need to understand that it isn't a crime to party with Mr. Epstein. It isn't a crime to have
Didn't look like that's all that was going on some of those photos. I mean, if the photos could speak, some of them look pretty bad.
That's right. And unfortunately, photos can't speak.
Wow, I guess true. Unfortunately, photos cannot speak.
It only gets worse.
They cannot speak, guys.